exile is our own way. We think sometimes we know a little bit better. And God says, when I bring you in, that's what I prayed in that pastoral prayer, when God wants to gather us and when he wants to bring us together, then of course we come back out of the exile that we've given to ourselves, and we find a real truth and a real wholeness and a real joy in life. And it really happens. It really happens, but you have to kind of work at it. You've got to be prepared for it. That's what I want to talk about today. Be prepared for this sort of thing. Because for you guys here, guys and girls, is most of life is still ahead of you. For a few of us, most of life is behind us. But for you, there's a great deal of living in front of you. And if you're prepared for it, God has a wonderful plan for you. And if you get in touch with that early in life, the earlier the better, then, of course, you discover that there really is a lot of good things in life. But you got to be prepared. And I'm going to show you some pictures here in a few moments. And these pictures are going to, I'm going to talk about some incidents in these that are around these pictures and in this location. I just got back from Australia. My wife's relatives all live there, and I've only been back a couple of weeks, barely made it over jet lag here, but I'm here. And this is one of the locations that I was at, and I'm going to start with a 360-degree picture. And at this location is where we are preparing to see some fireworks at night on New Year's Eve, just this last New Year's Eve. So, Reinhard, if you could show that first video, the 360 video. This is the location where I started. And I want you to take a look at the pier, which is at about 270 degrees, because I'm going to make a point about that pier later. It's kind of off in the video. That's you're going to see that one in a minute. The 360 video. No, that's the still one. Have you found the video up there? That's an aerial at the end of a pier, and you can just keep an eye on, think about that one too. But when they find the video, okay, we're starting here. Now here's the beach, and that's the Gulf of St. Vincent there, leading into the Southern Ocean and the South Pacific. And there's some folks there walking along. There's that pier just coming up. See that pillar there at the end? And there's the cars and some of the houses that are there. And that's what some Australian houses look like on the Esplanade. And here we are back where we started from. Now, you already saw that other picture, the Brighton Jetty at night. We've come here to see these fireworks, so there's the Brighton Jetty. That's the end of that pier at night. And now just show them, Reinhard, the fireworks on New Year's Eve, the third one. That's the other short video. Okay, those are fireworks going off at the end of that jetty. Now you've got kind of a rough idea how far out that jetty is in the water, eh? You can see the people on the beach here. They've got lights in their hands, and we're watching these New Year's Eve fireworks. And there's that mast, which is an aerial. at the end on the right-hand side there that you saw. This just goes for another few seconds. That's it there, yeah. And so I want you to get an idea about how far out that jetty is. So show picture number 4, Brighton Jetty and Beach. The fourth one, Brighton Jetty and Beach. Okay, so there it is there, and you can see that mast out there, that aerial, and the beach. Now, you can leave that one up there for the time being. Do you know that about twice the distance out from the end of that pier, there's sharks? Real big sharks, great whites. And people swim right along in here, so you can see that it's not that much further out that the sharks are, right? So you got to know that. In other words, you have to be prepared when you go in swimming here. You don't have to get paranoid about it if you don't go too far out, but if you get really far out past the end of that pier, about double the distance out, where you can see that it's not very far, you can expect some real danger in the water. Now, I was with one of my friends, and we were down this beach here, just down about another mile. And we were watching them do some surf life saving. And there was a whole bunch of kids that were going out into the water, and they were swimming around a buoy. And I thought to myself, you know, that's kind of far out. And I asked my friend Len, I said, you know, are there sharks out there? And he said, yeah, there is. And they're not very far down from here either, that there was an attack. And we watched all these kids about your age. They were swimming out and they were going around this buoy. Now, to be responsible about it, there were adults out there floating around in boats watching for sharks. And every once in a while you saw an airplane fly over, which is the shark watch. And they do that so that if there is a problem, they radio to the people below and they haul everybody out of the water, or they say there's a shark coming and everybody darn near lifts out of the water to get back to the shore, and they do. And so we watch these kids go out and around and do these water exercises to do the surf life-saving. But then I asked my friend Len, I said, Len, what happened on this attack that was just down the beach, just on a beach exactly like this, but just about 2 miles down sort of that away? And he said, well, there were 3 kids from one of the local boys' schools, and they'd be kids that weren't much older than you, maybe just about another 5 or 6 years older, and there were 3 of them out in a motorboat. And what they were doing was they were in the boat, and they had a surfboard where they were towing behind the boat. And they would take turns jumping in the water and getting on the surfboard and then roaring around with this boat. Lots of fun, right? But you got to be aware that when you're out about double that distance, there's problems. There can be problems. And one of these kids, this friend of mine was a teacher, and I think he had taught one of these kids, or he knew this one kid. The 3 of them were in the boat, and one of them had just gotten into the boat, and the other one was getting prepared, and he wasn't quite ready to jump in the water. And the other one said, well, I'll go in because you're not quite ready. And he jumped in the water, and he was never seen again. The shark came up from underneath, and it grabbed him, and it took him down, and that was it. Just like that. Now, I didn't bring any pictures of a shark attack because they're a bit bloody and gory and everything else. You can look them up on the internet. But those guys, those kids out there, they were really not all that prepared. Do you know that when in Australia there's a lot of surfers, okay, and same in Hawaii. And these surfies, when they go out there, they know there's sharks out there too. And that's the chance they take. And every once in a while, somebody comes back with a big bite out of their surfboard. Or they come back with great big jaw marks down their leg or something like that, or on their side, which is often where the sharks will try and get you. Because when people go into the water, because of the sunshine, they often put on these kind of wetsuit type of things. And when you do that, you look like a seal. And a seal is caviar to a shark. And so when all these people are in the water, or when these kids are around playing, the shark thinks, there's breakfast or lunch, because he sees a seal. But if you're prepared, and you know not to go out at least about double that distance, but stay a little bit closer to shore, you'll probably be about 90% safer. But sometimes, and I've seen it too, I've seen swimmers way out, and you say, what's he doing out there? He's nuts. These people are not thinking about what's going on underneath them. And then, when you're not prepared, you get to short-circuit that plan that God has for your life. You see, if we think things through, all I'm saying is that if we think things through and we realize what is out there and we can prepare ourselves for it, then we get to live our lives and we get to enjoy the plan that God has for us. And if you're thinking and working and going along with God, He says so. Look, He's going to help you. He may not rescue you from a really stupid thing sometimes, because sometimes stupid things happen to people. But He says here, look, if you kind of go along and do things according to plan, and you anticipate or you're prepared for good things to happen, He says, look, you won't fear the terror by night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness or underwater, or the destruction that wastes at noonday. These kids were taken around noon. They were taken right in the nice bright sunshine with the water with the sun sparkling on the top of the water. It's a beautiful day on the top, but underneath, it's something else. You got to be prepared for what's underneath so it doesn't get you. And it says here too in Psalm 91, because you've made the Lord your dwelling place, the Most High, who is my refuge, no evil will be allowed to befall you, no plague come near your tent, for He will command His angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. And guarding you in all your ways means thinking in advance about what might happen. But it's also thinking in advance about all the good things that can happen. And all that God's saying here is don't derail yourself because of crazy thinking. Just think through these situations here. Now you see, in the minds of everybody, we know what often the dangers are. If you think about how you live your life, most of the time you know the dangers. Now, let's take a look at another picture here. Show me the one, Crocodile Brighton. Now you see there's a young boy there in the sand, and him and his dad, I watched them make this crocodile. He's making, I think, another little figurine there now that he's working on. But you see that crocodile, so they know that if you go up to Queensland, if the sharks don't get you, the crocodiles will, and if you miss the crocodiles, then the jellyfish, the box jellyfish with the deadly stingers, they'll get you. So you got to be prepared if you're going to go up in that stretch of beach to be swimming. But you see, inside everybody, we know, we've got an idea of what the danger is. And here they've made a model, a sand crocodile. Okay, show the next one, the Croc Brighton. There it is there, a little bit closer. And it actually, from my vantage point, I just took that with the camera from up on the Esplanade and I zoomed in with the lens. It really looks kind of realistic, doesn't it? because they know what the danger looks like. And I believe that you and I, we know what the danger looks like. We've got these images in our mind. These ones here are wild animals, but we know what the dangers in life are. And if we're prepared, well, we're not going to go in water where those guys are, right? You wouldn't go swimming with him in the water, would you? He's a prehistoric creature whose jaws, when they close, are in the thousands of pounds. But you guys wouldn't go in there, would you? Not with him, not with the sharks, and not with the jellyfish. So all that means is don't go out double the length of the pier. Don't go out too far, because you think things through and you're being prepared. For I know I have plans for you, declares the Lord, plans for good things and not for evil, to give you a future and to give you a hope. Amen.